I've almost forgotten what it feels like to just be. I've almost forgotten what it what the reward that it brings in by just trying to be. And what I mean by that when I say just trying to be is that when I'm around other people, there's this constant need to talk and um, like listen to their conversation about talking about nothing interesting to me and nothing important to me at all. Um, and getting caught up in like stuff that's going on in the world I don't care about. And it's in those moments when I'm having those conversations with people, um, in person, face to face, in a social group, um, uh, you know, just overhearing conversations in my vicinity, direct vicinity, I get exhausted. And as I've been thinking about this over the past few days, I've realized that it's probably because I'm in tune with how I used to be a person who was really, I used to be a person that tried to get people to try and enter into that state of nothing and to try and be like, not saying any, like, just chill, you know, be quiet, necessary, not necessarily telling them to be quiet, but just showing them how to just chill. They don't have to talk so much, and that nothing really in the world is interesting to anyone because everyone's faking it. Okay, everyone pretends to like stuff and talk about stuff, and for the most part, that is, and during these interactions, these conversations that happened, well, recently actually, that I've been, encountering, what I've been living, right, with my immediate people that I live with, or, um, my siblings or my siblings' friends in general, I reflected and I realized that it's very important to where I kind of need to. It's not that I can't force people, and I can't, of course, I can't make them understand or see if they're not meant to. But I, the only thing I can control is myself and my response and how I think and how I, breathe and how I respond to the situation. So since I became very close to, I almost forgot what meditation was at one point. I like to be alone, but when I'm alone, I just like to be. I don't really like to think. I don't really like to do anything. I just usually sit and just, in front of an outdoor nature, or you know um, do something interesting, like read a book or study or something, which I like to do all those things because it requires me to be alone. I don't have to be with other people. All right. um so I've remembered now how important. I used to meditate and then I stopped, and ironically, I stopped meditating about halfway through my recent SR journey. And meditation is actually something that's very, very useful, I found out, when you're going down that path. And so I was reflecting earlier and I realized that I think I need to get back into just not only just being and doing nothing, because that could be a form of meditation, but I need to get back into actively meditating and trying to literally pull my energy back from people that just that I have nothing in common with. All right. A lot of people around me, they're not relevant. Yes, they're in my life, so I have to care on some level, but a lot of the people immediately around me in my family, or siblings, or my siblings' friends, or my coworkers, they're not relevant to me anymore because they've shown me who they are. And like I said before, when people, when they show you when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And so tying that into my message today is that I've I've understood, come to the conclusion that they were never relevant because I have nothing in common with these people. I had nothing in common with my family, all right, so to speak. Um, and I never will, because that's one of the discouraging, not discouraging, not depressing, but that's one of the sadder realities that I'm in, is that um, when you know that you can't really you can't take people with you on the the spiritual journey. You can't force people to become like you. You can't I can't make people see the world through the lens that I see it and how I understand and perceive things. And um, I that's why I just try and avoid people. I understand the importance of being alone. So recently, after I have pulled myself away from these distractions, from these, if I enter into an interaction where I'm feeling that I'm getting my intuition is telling me that this is going to drain your energy, then I try and make an excuse to pull back and go and, be alone. And so, what I find that helpful, if you guys are encountering the same thing, I don't know who is viewing this video right now, but if you guys are encountering this, I advise you to do the same thing, to pull back your energy and to go try and be alone, not necessarily doing nothing unless you want to meditate, but being alone will help you to become grounded again and understand that uh, you need to get back to a state of flow, a state of being, a state of be, all right? Um, and that's a very important state to be in. Um, it's very hard. It's very hard for me to become aware of how important to just be and be grateful that I'm breathing when my mind is so preoccupied with assignments, with maybe a deadline or due dates, with a job I have to go to, with something in my family that they want. And I grew up in a dysfunctional family, and I still am in a dysfunctional family. So, it's nothing is normal about the family I'm in. Um, it's a lot of expectations are on my shoulders. Um, and these family members don't like it when I make sure that I set the boundaries. And as I progress down this path I've chosen to go down, this journey that I want to go down, um, people aren't happy about it. And that's just the reality. And so it doesn't get any easier, but it's actually a good thing because every day that it's not getting easier is another day that I get stronger. All right. And the same thing applies to yourself. Every day that you think that your struggle is not getting any easier, maybe you think you can't catch a break, but behind the scenes, it is actually making you stronger. And you pair that with meditation, you pair that with accepting that it could possibly never get better. You accept that, right? You pair that with eating healthy, exercising, every day, or if you can, as soon as you can, as often as you can, and any spiritual practices you do, any meditation, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's reading from a certain book puts you in a very calm and meditative state. Maybe it's taking a nap, listening to a recording of the ocean waves or something. It could be anything like that. These are the things we need to get back grounded into because it seems like, for my case specifically, every time I get into that state, something or someone wants to pull me out of that state again and wants my energy back. That is why I call it, and that is why it has been called spiritual warfare for a reason. It's called that for a reason because it's nothing to do with, you can't see or touch or feel what this spiritual warfare is. It is all spiritual. It is in the unseen realm that so many people do not know exists. Okay, and it's very, very real. And so try to remember to get back into a state of be. All right, you don't even have to be doing anything. I find meditation is helpful, but again, like I do this very often. I just sit and do nothing sometimes and try to empty my mind. It is very healthy. It does make you appreciate the life you've been given while I'm still being grateful through the struggles, even though there are struggles present. Please like the video and support the channel. Subscribe if you wish. I hope you guys have a great evening, And I hope that you can utilize my message to fully become more grounded in yourself and be aware. The key here is awareness, okay? Be very conscious and aware of when people are trying to pull your energy.